Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for tuning in. This is Colton with Grand Valley Sporting Goods, and we're continuing the 2025 launch of all the flagship bows. Next up we have Mathews, and Mathews launched yesterday with the Lift X in the 29.5 and the 33. Real quick, just want to touch base on it. They did come out with two other bows, so the Lift RS and then the XD, which I'm going to be touching on in a later video. So the RS is replacing the Prima, which the Prima was marketed as more so a women's bow. In all reality, it's a lower poundage, shorter draw length bow option. So they're basically marketing that as just another option for somebody who is under 29-inch draw. So they have two limb options. They have a I forget what they call it, but it's a light version that goes up to 60 pounds. They still utilize the same switch weight mods that all of their lineup has, but that one goes up to 60. And then they have a heavier limb that goes up to 80 with the switch weight mods. Then they have the XD, which more so geared towards the longer draw length guys out there. So that one is going to go from 32 inches to 33.5. I'm going to save those for another video though, because I plan on making a separate video for just the shorter, lighter pound bow options for flagship options, and then a separate video for the just longer draw versions out there. So this video is just going to highlight the 29.5 and then the 33 in the Lift X. And then if you stick with the video as well, we're going to do a speed test between 28, 29, and 30 inches with a 350 grain arrow and then 70 pounds. Really just more so to showcase just the performance of the cam with the two different bows. 28 to 30, I would say, covers the majority of the average draw length out there. So you can kind of get a better idea on what you're going to get speed-wise for the draw length that you're at. So without further ado, this is Lift X33. So if you're familiar with the Lift last year, this is going to be the same spec. So this is going to be a 6-inch brace height, 29.5-inch axle to axle, and same thing with a 33. So the 33 is at 6.5-inch brace height, 33-inch axle to axle. They're basically using the same riser, same cam system mods, everything. Really, they're just going to add a couple new features to it. So really, if you have the Lift from last year, this might not necessarily gravitate you to make the change from the Lift to the Lift X, but if you haven't bought a bow in a couple of years, this is just going to be the Lift with a couple of very cool features to it. So first thing I want to address is the limbs. Now, the limb issue with the Lifts is a very commonly known thing. It's a very common question that we got in the shop this year is, have you seen issues with the limbs with the Lift? And yes, we have. I'm not going to just kind of blanket that statement at all. We have seen issues with it, but they have, in my opinion, fixed that problem. It was a batch of limbs that we saw issues with, and it's not a catastrophic failure that, you know, is kind of portrayed on the internet. Really, it's just more so delamming towards the limb pocket. There's just one or two layers of the limbs that are coming delammed on there, and it's not a catastrophic failure. The bow still was able to function with that. But in Mathews fashion, from a shop perspective, they always fix any kind of problem quickly, whether it's publicly known with the actual bow itself or internally, you know, between us and Mathews in general. They always seem to fix any kind of issue really quickly. They're one of the better companies that we have to deal with, but they seem to have fixed that problem because we haven't seen any replacement limbs come back continuing to delam. Now, if you've heard of replacement limbs delamming, please let me know in the comments, because that'd be honestly the first that I've heard of. But since they replaced those limbs, they seem to have fixed their issues. So I have pretty good confidence that the new limbs that are on this Lift X, I don't really foresee any issues with. Now, granted, with any bow company out there, truly you don't know longevity-wise if any bow is going to have any issues, but they seem to have fixed that problem. So if you're looking at a new bow, I wouldn't worry about the limbs on the Lift X. So just wanted to address that real quick. So now let's get into the cool stuff. So first thing I'm really excited about is the new limb shift technology that they added to this. So a lot of companies are more so gearing towards the tinkering side or the tunability side of things without having to utilize a bow press, which is really great for the at-home tinkerer that doesn't have a bow press, or maybe, you know, the knowledge of messing with shims and taking cams out and stuff like that. So this is going to be very similar to like the Bowtech deadlock system. So, but instead of moving the cam, it's actually moving both the top and the bottom, depending on what you choose. Obviously, the right limb, or I assume we haven't gotten in a lefty yet, but I assume it's going to be the left limb for a lefty. But how this system works is you take out the axle screw here, and underneath that there is a Allen socket, if you will, that when you turn that, it's pivoting out the right limb in and out for tunability with that. Now, we haven't tuned one of these yet, so I don't know how well that system works. But from a bow technician perspective, it seems like it's going to be a really good option. And I'm assuming if Mathews launched it, it works the way it's supposed to. So, but that's a really cool feature, especially if for the at-home tinkerer, if you mess with any kind of walk-back tuning or broadhead tuning, which is what most hunters are going to utilize, especially if you're shooting fixed blade broadheads. This is going to be a really cool feature because you can keep your rest center shot and micro tune with the limb to get your arrows with broadheads to fly perfectly. But one thing I will definitely give them credit for too is they have an indicator that you can see how far you've moved that limb in one direction or the other. So that is a really cool feature there, and I'm excited to use that with our customers. So next thing that they have added, and granted bow companies have done this in the past, but I just like the fact that they've came out with more options for this, is their new bond grip system. So I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that they teamed up with UltraV View, just like the site, which I'm going to show you here in a second. They teamed up with UltraV View for their new grip. So with the bond grip system, it's very similar to the Engage grip system, but the nice thing about this is they easily come right off, so you can tinker around with grips, because the one thing that is very personal preference on the bow in general is just the grip itself. All the bow technicians here, we all like different grip options. Some of us like a high-wristed grip, some of us like a little lower profile. Myself, I tend to shoot with the skinniest grip possible, wrapped in like a hockey tape, for example. But this just gives you the option to kind of customize and get the grip that you like. Now, it's not going to be perfect for everybody, but it just gives you more options out there. So the grip that comes on it is basically the same profile as the Engage grip that they've come out or that they've had since, I believe, the Verdicts is when they came out with the Engage grip system. So it's going to be a 14-degree angle to it. A little bit skinnier than a lot of stock grips that are out there as well. But what's different from what comes on the Lift is where the Lift is basically all rubber. This is going to be more of a polymer texture to it, like the UltraV View grips, but it's going to have a texturized, I don't know if this is softer plastic or if it's like a harder rubber, just texturized backstrap on it, just to give you a little texture to it in like wetter conditions. So we'll show you the grip options here in a second, but that is another cool feature that Mathews has added on this as well. So this is the 20.5. Quickly, I'll show you the 33. So this is Lift X33. So like I mentioned, it's really going to be the same specs as the Lift, the original Lift 33. but with the same features with the limb shift system, the bond grip system, new limbs, all that stuff. But so they are offering all the bows too in the Cuyo Verde 2.0, which I'm a fan of that camo because it works well out west as well as in the tree stand. And spec wise, it's going to be the same as the Lift 33, so 6.5-inch brace height. It'll go from 26 to a 31.5-inch draw length. Really same riser, same can system, using the same mods, switch weight mods, which I haven't mentioned. And if you're not familiar with the Lift, you can get it to a peak weight as low as 55 pounds in 5-pound increments all the way up to 80 pounds. So really, Mathews is, in the past couple of years, going to just more versatility in fitting a multitude of people, but keeping peak performance in that person's draw length and peak draw weight that they want to be at. So this is Lift 33. Real quick, we're going to talk on the grips. All right, so this is the sample pack that we got from Mathews, just showcasing their 3 different grip options. So they do offer different colors in the back straps as well. So stock wise, I believe they're all going to come with, they are all going to come with an Engage profile to it, but I believe they're all going to come with the gray color to it. But they offer 4 different colors just to customize a little bit more. I believe they come in white, the gray obviously, and then tan, and then an OD green. So they have the Engage grip, which if you've shot a Mathews in the past, I would say like 5 years or so, kind of get an idea of the profile of that. The texture obviously is going to be a little bit different there. But then they have a 14-degree grip angle with that, which is, I would say, pretty standard for Mathews over the last handful of years. So another option that they have is the Contour grip. So with the Contour grip, it's going to be still a 14-degree angle, but it's just going to be a slightly different profile to it. So it's going to bevel out about 3/4 up of the grip. So depending on how you grip the bow, there's several, I guess, right ways to grip a bow, and everybody's hand profile is a little bit different. So that's why, you know, grips are a very personal preference-based thing. But this is going to kind of gear more towards the target guys, with generally how target grips come, and I would say more how, you know, spot league and target guys grip a bow. But this is going to be one option that they have, and then they have the taper grip, which is a more high-wristed grip. I know Tyler that works here, he is a huge fan of a high-wristed grip. I personally don't like them, but again, it's a personal preference-based thing. So this is going to be a little bit higher angle to it. So this is going to be a 17-degree angle, and it's going to bevel out kind of more halfway up the grip. So depending on, you know, again, how you grip the bow, it's going to just give you a little bit more surface area in your palm, just to get a more solid, comfortable grip. And I'd really love to kind of dive into the really big differences in it, but you more so just have to try them out to see what you like and what you feel like is going to be more consistent for you. So I think that just kind of covers the grips as well as I can with it. So next accessory we're going to talk about is the new sight. All right, so this is the new sight that Mathews came out with. They teamed up with UltraV View, as many of you know, with this. So it's going to have a very similar feel as the UV slider. So it's going to have the same wheel, same windage micro adjust to it. It's just designed a little bit differently. So it still has a internal light system with it. So it's not a like full separate cartridge to it. It's just going to be just the top part of the housing. This whole cartridge pops out. So for those that hunt in the state, mainly out west, that doesn't allow any kind of battery operated sights, you're able to pop that out, put in the replacement cartridge for that, and be able to run out in those states legally. One thing that they added as well is they put more fiber in this sight, which in my opinion, with the UV slider, that's one thing that it kind of lacks on, and many of you heard of this or familiar with this, that it doesn't have a lot of fiber on its own that you can utilize without the light. So they added more fiber to this, so you're going to get a little bit brighter pins. And then with the sight itself, you get 5 different brightness adjustments, and then it still stores that brightness memory. So when it shuts off, all you have to do is just press that button, and then it goes to the brightness setting that you originally had it at. And then as far as the bar goes, it's going to be a shorter bar option to it. Still same first, second, and third axis adjustments to it as well. It's just going to be a shorter bar, very similar to the profile of the previous fixed pin Mathews sight that Excel made for them. So this is just a good option, and we see more customers gearing towards that 3-pin slider. Frankly, all of us run a multi-pin slider. This is a 5-pin, and they're going to offer it, I believe, in a 3, a 2, and a 1-pin in this as well. But it kind of gives you the best of both worlds for those that, you know, not only hunt whitetail in the Midwest, but do some 3D target shooting, run out west. It just gives you a little bit more versatility using different ranges and stuff like that. So that pretty much covers everything that Mathews came out with this year. So we do have obviously the demos here, so you can test drive them and get a feel for them. But then I was told by our rep that we should be getting our first initial stock here. Hopefully in the next week or two, they should start trickling in. And then we should have, I think, 100 bows or so by January, if I'm not mistaken. I don't deal with the ordering, so I don't know. But let's move on to the speed tests. So we're going to run over to our testing lane and run these through the chronograph and see how they perform. All right, guys, so we're going to do the speed test with the Lift X 20.5 and 33. Now, if you haven't seen the previous video, what we're going to do with all of these flagship bows this year is we're going to keep them all at 85% let off, which every company has an 85% let off offering. And most consumers that we see are going to shoot their bow at an 85% let off. But we're going to shoot them at 30 inches first with a 350 grain arrow at 70 pounds. Then we'll quick take a pause, change them all to 29.5, and then we'll do the same with 28. Really just so, one, it's kind of more average draw lengths that we see, but you can also see just the efficiency in the cam and kind of where it peaks out for each bow model that we have to offer. So without further ado, we're going to start with the Lift X 29.5. We're going to take 2 shots and just kind of take the average of the 2. .335. Do you remember what the IBO was on this?
No.
It's like 340.
344 maybe?
Yeah, 344. Okay, so not too bad. .333. So like before, when they're only within a foot, we'll take the higher of the 2. So Lift 20.5 at 30 inches, we're at 334. Now I'll shoot the 33. .324. So 10 feet, which is pretty expected. And same, 324. All right, so we'll change these to 29 and go from there. All right, so we changed these to 29 inches. So again, we're gonna start with the 29.5. Again, 70 pounds, 350 grain arrow. 324. And another 324. Okay, so now I'll do the 33. $317. It's not too much of a drop off. And 317. So 7 feet a second on the 33 and then 10 feet a second on the 29.5. All right, so let's change these to 28. All right, so we set these to 28 inches. Again, starting with the 29.5. See where they're at. Luke, is this drawing short on me?
Maybe a little.
Okay. Shout out to Luke behind the camera, by the way.
Bend that down a little more.
316. Oh. 317. All right, now for the 33. $306. Another 306. Okay.
Fail.
All right, as always, appreciate you guys watching. If you like content, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Helps us grow the channel. If you have any kind of suggestions on videos that you want to see, we are going to be doing, hopefully filling up this board with all new 2025 bows here coming up. We're going to have Hoyt coming up. We'll be doing Elite, hopefully Darton here pretty soon, which I'm really excited about, and then Bowtech as well. So anything else outside of that you want to see, just please drop in the comments. Other than that, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks.